She left the house to find a dark figure sitting out front, perched on a wall and swinging his feet. She approached him. "Are you waiting for me?" she asked. He grinned, his face dim in the low light from the front windows of the house. "Fancy a walk home?" he said. "I'm a big girl," she said. "I don't need escorting." He grabbed her around the waist and pulled her into him. She leaned against him, inhaling the warm smell of his fleece. Adam was still wearing his National Trust fleece, the one he wore all day when he was volunteering. "You need a bath," she told him. He laughed and pulled back. "Later," he said. "Let's get down to the beach." He raised an eyebrow. She yawned. "I'm tired. That meeting, God." She put her hand to her forehead. Adam gave her a hug. "I know, but it's your dream job. It's worth the occasional hour of admin." She nodded and looked up at him. They were walking together, heading back towards their house on the north side of the island. Adam was 5 inches taller than her, and when she looked up at him, she could just about make out the moonlight behind him. "Go on, then," she said. He turned to her and grinned, then pulled on her hand and led her off towards the south of the island, where the beaches sloped down to the sea. Their house overlooked the Poole side of the island. If you walked into the woods from their back door, you could see Poole Harbour and the massive ships. But over on this side of the island, where the accessible beaches were, it was completely different. Opposite was the dark shape of the Isle of Purbeck, the hills nothing more than shadows at this time of night. But Frankie and Adam knew these paths and beaches. They'd lived here for the last 1.5 years, and it had become as familiar to them as their own skin. They hurried down towards the beach. Frankie shivered, whether from the chill or anticipation she wasn't sure. As they reached the end of the path, Adam let go of her hand and went on ahead. She followed him down the steep steps that led down to a small beach, one of many on this side of the island. They liked to come here at night, when everybody else was asleep and the island was quiet. The visitors were gone, the staff were tucked up for the night, and they had the beach and the view to themselves. As they reached the sand, he turned and opened his arms wide, and she ran into them, whooping. He laughed and swung her around. She loved this man. Her relationship with him couldn't be any more different from her first marriage. He plonked her down on the sand and gave her a kiss on the forehead. "Race you," he said. This beach was short, but they liked to run along it, kicking up sand as they went. If she was lucky, he might grab her and lead her behind the rocks further up. She felt a chill run through her. He ran on ahead and then suddenly stopped. She caught up with him and put a hand on his back. "What is it?" she panted. He was staring ahead of them, his eyes catching the dim light. "What is it?" she repeated. He pointed. "What's that?" he murmured. She followed his gaze. There was a shape on the sand down by the water's edge, waves washing over it. "A seal?" she said. He turned to her. "You don't get seals in Poole Harbour." She shrugged. "We might get lucky one day." He shook his head. "That's no seal. It's wearing clothes." Frankie felt a shiver run across her skin. This time she knew it wasn't anticipation. She swallowed and took a step forward. Adam put a hand on her arm. "It's okay, love. I'll go." "No," she said. "Don't be ridiculous." She walked on ahead, pulling in deep breaths. It would be an animal, she told herself. Some driftwood washed up to the beach. It wasn't what she was thinking. As she approached the shape, the trees receded overhead and the light became brighter. She stared at it, her mouth dry. She put her hand to her chest and turned to her partner. "Adam," she called. "Adam, come here quickly."